All right, guys, welcome. So today we're going to be learning how to draw this shoe. And this is a shoe that I have. It's my son's shoe, and I'm going to show you how to draw this, but we're going to do it with grid lines. Let me show you what that is. So in order to, I don't know if you've ever drawn, depending on your level, but if you've ever drawn and you start laying out the, like we would lay this out, and it might not be proportional. So you might have this part a little bit longer than what you want. Instead of going back and, having to erase and tweak that, and I know it's just layout lines, but this is a very good way for a beginner or an intermediate artist to uh, begin to understand proportions. And if you want to duplicate this exactly as this is a very good way to learn how to do that. And again, everything comes with practice. But what we're going to do here is we're going to, this was printed almost exactly 5 by 7 the way I cropped this. So what we're going to do is every inch we're going to make a line just like this. And then I'm going to show you what we can do here. And this will really help you understand how to get things proportional when you draw them. And after a while, then you won't even need to do it. It's really neat. This is what really helped me growing up. I've been drawing for a long time. I'm not perfect. A lot of people better than me, but I can make some pieces that I'm very proud of. That's the whole goal, right? So what we can do on this is we're going to be drawing these lines, okay? And then we're going to I'm going to show you how to take our paper that we're actually going to be drawing on, and we'll do the same thing on that, but we're going to make them a lot lighter because we want to be able to erase them. Let's rotate our paper here. Draw these lines. Yeah, I think you guys are really going to enjoy this one. It's the first time I'm drawing a shoe. Well, I mean, I drew a shoe before, but it was just a real simple shoe. But this is going to be exciting to try to duplicate this and make it look as real as possible. Okay, so now we're going to take our paper here and do the same thing. And what I'm using this marker paper. It's 6 by 8 inches. And it's pretty sturdy. It has a smooth texture. Because what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking a Sharpie, and then we're going to take a black colored pencil, Prismacolor, over top of it to give it a nice look. So now we'll just take this. Now this is 6 by 8. So if I want it 5 by 7 and I want it centered on here, I'm going to come in a ½ inch here on each side because we're shaving a total of 1 inch off. So what I'll do, I'll show you how to do this. And why am I measuring from here? Because I don't quite trust that from here to here is quite a ½ inch, so I'm going to go to where I know it is. It looks like it's cut off a little bit. So I always go measure in from those spots. So what we're going to do is we're going to just put a real light line like that going down both sides here, and then we have our width, or our height, of 5 inches. Now, if it's 8 inches this way and we want it 5 by 7, we have to shave a ½ inch off of this side as well. Right? So that's what we're going to do here. hoping to keep this under 40 minutes, but let's see. I tell you, I think it'll be worth learning from, worth watching. I don't want to sit here and say, okay, well, I'm going to draw this, speed it up, and have you try to figure it out. I don't want to do that. I want to really try to help you learn. So you see that? We have that 5x7 now. We're darn close, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to start drawing these lines every inch. Now I'm going to come in here with one of my dull pencils. I'm going to start here. And we're going to go every inch. And it doesn't have to be exact. Because if you look here, I think in the beginning, well, let's take a look. Yeah, we're about 1/16 off. That's okay. That is okay. This is just to give us an idea. So what we're going to do here, again, we'll do every inch down here. Okay. And then we'll do it here as well. Try to go on the outside there. I forgot to do it there. So let's go here. Now, I want to go really light. Sharpie and all that's going to take care of the lines inside of the actual shoe, but we don't want too heavy of a line outside of that. Let's make that a little darker. That barely showed up. There, you see that? And I'm just holding it here and letting the weight of the pencil essentially go down on the paper. See that? And we can come in here. Yeah, I'm really excited to draw this. I was checking out how the jelly pen, how that handle's going over top of colored pencil over top of Sharpie, and it seems to have worked. So let's hopefully this works again. I'll show you what I mean here. So what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. I'm going to get rid of this, put this on the screen, okay, and then we're going to go from there, okay? But we have our drawing surface now. We're going to put this on the screen. I'm just going to put this on the side to look off of, okay? I might bring it in closer for reference. All right, so I have my dull pencil. Now what we're going to do is, if you look here, where do I want to start? I like starting over here and working my way around. So if you come in right here, there's that block, right? This right here, you got to say, okay, here's about the halfway mark, right? Here's about halfway through that. So it's a little bit less than 1/4 of the way. It's a little bit more than 1/8, right? So if you come down here and you say, well, this is the halfway point, that's the halfway point there, it starts a little bit up from that, right? Then where does it go? Well, you can do the same thing down here. I'd say it goes about right there. So what you can do is you can go like that to get an idea of where that goes, okay? And then you're, okay, well, where does this go? Well, if that's the halfway point, it's a little bit further than half, right? So if we say that's the halfway point, right here, it goes down a little bit more, right? So we could say that this goes like this, and this goes to there, right? Do you see that? So that's what we're going to do the whole way through this. So let's do it again here. So now you say, okay, that's about halfway, right? You can measure if you want. There's halfway between that. Now, if this was a real detailed drawing, you could take this square, you could do every 1/2 inch. You could do it like this. You could do it every, see that? And that way, if you have something really intricate and you're unsure where to do, you'd know exactly where it would go with each stroke. But for this is pretty straightforward and simple. This comes down about 1/4 of the way of this entire length. So and it's almost in line. So if we go halfway, another half, right? We can just go like that, right? Then this pops out a little bit, and then this is just a nice boom, just like that. But where's it at? Well, here's halfway. Okay, so it's there's halfway of that. So it's a little bit more than 1/4 of the way down. So if we go to the halfway point here, we go to the 1/4 of the way. Remember I said it's a little further down. And if you look at this, see that little white spot there? It comes in a little bit to the right. So it's not quite straight down. So if you took your ruler here, you can make a little mark and you could say, well, if it's a little bit past that 1/4 mark and it's in a little bit, I'd say it's going to be about right there. So then you could go like that. See that? That's how you do that. Now, what do you do about this? Well, if you look here, right here, I'm going to make it with a white dot. There, you see that? That's where that, and that's what we're going to use for these things. We're going to, look at that. We're going to put those threads right over top of the Sharpie and the colored pencil we're going to be doing. So that's going to look pretty neat. I can't wait for that. So, getting back to this grid right here, that's that. Well, where is the shoe coming in at? Well, it's barely above that, so I'm going to put a little line there. And what about the edge here? Well, there's a straight line, right? So you could actually put a little bit of a straight line there. And you could have this come out like that. This come out like that. Right? You can just, why do I rotate my paper? Well, it's easier for me to make that curve that way. See that? Now, you could say, okay, well, what about, maybe that's a little bit too big. We're not going to worry about that. What we're doing is we're just basically outlining this right now. Okay, so now what we'll do is we're going to come across and take a look at this now. Where does this go? Well, we're 3 over and we're a little bit down. Now I'm not going to keep boring you with the halves, half, half, okay? I'm just going to take a look at this and use my knowledge. We're going to go to there. So how do we draw? How do we draw over to here? Well, it kind of goes across straight and then it curves down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up like this, come across, and then gradually come down. See that? I like that. Now, what about here? What about here? Well, that's almost halfway down. So where are we at? We're 4 over, and we're right here, and we're about halfway. So you can put a little mark there if you want. And we're barely off of here. So you could say, well, it's going to go there. So then you can bring this right down like that. See that? We'll worry about curving that later. Just go like that. See that? Now, what about these? What are we doing here? Well, this is where we're going to make this nice curved line. Then we're going to come back later and worry about this. We're going to do like this section, I believe, next, just to get you excited about how we can do this. We're going to do this one section at a time. Okay, instead of coloring all this in black, we're going to do one little section at a time. I'll show you it's a lot easier that way. So what we can do is let's go ahead and take a look at, let's divide this one up in half. So right there I'm talking about, we want to bring that line down to there. So we're right here on this one. This block is this block, okay? Go halfway, and we go up to the left just a little. We can bring that like that. Now, what about this? Right here. Okay, let's get our white one again. There's our where we meet. So let's take a look at that. What's that look like on here? Well, we're 2 over and we're 3 down. So that means we're talking about this spot right here. Well, where does that meet? About 1/4 of the way up, isn't it? Just gonna go up to there. See that? And then what we can do is we can just pretty much a straight shot. Fine tune it later, but that's pretty much a straight shot there. From here to here. See that? Now what we're doing here, this is how you can get a very proportional drawing. You lay it out right. Now, you do this enough times, it's gonna be natural. You can just come in here in 20 seconds and go like this and lay this out. But again, this is just to help you understand how to lay these initial lines out so that we can get in there and start adding some color. Okay, so where are we at now? Well, we can come out here. We're right around here somewhere, right? But where are we at as far as this toe area? Well, just barely. Let's do this again. See this here? We're barely over that line. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right there. And you can see here that this comes down and it kind of curves over, right? So for me, that curve was very easy to make like this. See that? That's how we want to do that. Now, what about the rest of this? Well, it's not quite halfway. There's the halfway point. So what we're going to do is just going to curve this around like that. And then let's take a look. Let's make these grid lines for you. See that? That's right on that. And there's that one. So what do we do here? Well, I'm going to start wrapping this around now, right? So there's that one right there. How far up is that? Well, there's about the halfway point, right? It's about the 1/4. So it's probably about 1/4 of the way up. So what we can do, we can do that. And then this one is almost down to here. This one is almost down to there. This one, it looks like it's touching. We're really close. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring this around like this. We'll just see where we're at. See that? Kind of seems like Now this is an exaggeration, but it kind of seems like it goes like that, right? So you're coming in here, you're going across, but it's just slightly curved, and then it comes back up. So that's what we're going to try to duplicate here. So we're going to come across, barely come up. See that? I like that. So there's the outside. Now what do we do next? Well, what I'd like to do is, I'm going to find this point right here. I'll tell you why. Why do I want to find that point? Because this is the first part I want to draw with you. Okay? So, where's that at? Well, we're over here. It's a little bit past there. And if we look here, it's below that too. This is a little tougher to figure out where it's at, but we know it's in line with the top of this because that's the top part of the rubber, right? So what you could do, you could actually take this, put a little mark there, assuming that this rubber top part of this sole is straight, which it looks like it really is pretty close. And if we're 2 blocks over, right, there's the top of that. It looks like it's just beyond, barely beyond. And then what about this here? Remember that curve right there? That's this part. So now what you can do is you can take this and you can make that curve. See that? That's that. Now, if you don't like that curve, it's a little bit too straight, right? Why don't we take it out a little bit? Like that. Just erase that bottom. I think I'm gonna like this a little better. See that? Now you can go and take your, this part, basically straight across. See that? Now, why don't we go ahead and color this in with a nice solid Sharpie. Then I'm going to show you what we can do with it. All right? Start getting some color here. Just going to go across. See that? I'm going to rotate it. It's a lot easier to make a curve like this. Now I'm just going to color it in. I'm going to go around the edge one more time before I start coloring. Now, there's a couple different ways you can color. See this? I think this is how my printer does it. Right? Printers go back and forth. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. See that? Make it nice. And hopefully it blends in pretty nice. I like that. So see now we have this section right here. Now you can see there's a little defect or some little thing there from where, right there. Might try to put that in. What we're gonna do is we're gonna see if we can lay in these stitches. The first thing I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna take my colored pencil and we're gonna lay in some colored pencil, but I'm gonna sharpen this thing first. All right, so it's always nice to have a piece of scrap paper laying around so we can dull that just a hair. So what we're gonna do we're just going to come in here. We're going to, now I'm going to do a little part of this, and you can see how much more of a richer black that it comes in. It's really crisp, nice rich color. You see that? Can you see the difference? Just Sharpie, now that's colored pencil over top of that. I'm not pressing too hard. We don't want to press too hard, we're just laying in a little bit. If you press too hard, one thing about colored pencils, now these are a very good brand, they're a softer brand. I have Crayolas, they have a different look, but these are a little more rich in color. The Crayolas and things like that tend to be a little lighter, although you can get pretty decent color with them. But you don't need to press real hard for this. But these are a softer lead, meaning this little more, when you get too much on, it'll start to get a little bit of a waxy look. And then it's kind of like, when you put anything white on it, it's harder to show up. So we don't need to press real hard. Now what I'm doing here, I'm just doing little circles, and then we'll get a nice, hopefully a nice solid. But you can see the difference there. You see Sharpie versus that. You really don't know whether it's true black or as black as you can get it without seeing this side-by-side comparison. So I'm excited to lay in some stitching on this, and we can move on to the next section. I'm telling you, this may take an hour. That's okay, it's worth it. Excited to do this. So there we have that. Now, we could wait to put the stitching in, but I'm pretty excited to get that in there. So let's go ahead and see what we can do. Now, what we can do, you can take this, take some colored pencil, go over top of it, and then what you can do is you can test it, right? Like that. It's going to show up pretty nice on here. Now, do we want them that thick? I think so. If we look here, we can actually go beside that and see. So if we make them that size, they're basically the same. Now, if I didn't tell you, you'd think that it'd be the same stitching, right? So I think that this width, see there's an 8, okay? I might, and there's a 10. Let's show you the difference here. It's thicker. I don't want that thick, so I'm not going to use the 10. Then we have a 5. So let's see. To me, that's just a hair too thin. I mean, boy. Maybe I will use that. I think I'm going to use the 5. We're going to test it first onto this. Make sure it shows up. It shows up. But not quite enough for me. Well, maybe. See, that's why you test it. So let's go ahead and try it. So let's draw this stitching right here along here, and it gets pretty close to the edge. So let's just go right down, little dots. See, it gets a little waxy. Kind of builds up on the, see that? All right, so we have that, right? Not bad. Now we have that section where this is gonna look neat. I'm excited. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this little Sharpie here. In fact, actually going to wait on that. We'll use that to clean that up. So that's, what are we gonna do next? Well, I think what we're gonna have to do is we're gonna have to spend some time doing this shoestring. Ooh. Luckily that bled through a little bit. Luckily that's all gonna be black. So we gotta be careful. So where does this shoestring come in? Well, it's right here. So it looks like it's off of here a little bit. I'm gonna start this thing right here. So you see this? It's a little triangle. See that? Kind of comes across. And where does it go to? Well, it goes right down to here. So if you want, you see how this just you could just go like this. See that? Now where does it go from here? Well, it's kind of like a C, right? It's a little bit here. So we're gonna go right about to there. So we can curve around like that. See that? Now while we have it here, we can do the rest of this. So it kind of touches right here, right? So we can kind of come in here like this, kind of the same thickness until it gets down to here and it starts to twist a little bit, right? So we're going to go a little thinner. See that? Now, come down here like this, right? See that? Now what do we do? We got to come across. So let's take a look at where it ends. Where does it end? Well, out here. So it's out here. It's about right there. Goes from here. So there's the edge, kind of like that. Then you have this straight part. So you can just draw that like that. See that? And then we can just kind of just comes up like that across. So we can do this. We can come down here like this, just right across, just like that. See that? All right. So what's the next step here? Well, what I want to try to do is lay this in. I want to lay this in because I want to start hitting this section right here. So we're going to go this way. That way our hand's not on our thing. So what I have to do is we have to figure out where we're putting. So what I'm going to do is, you see there's that, and there's that. And then there's that. So let's put that there so that you can see where we're at. This shouldn't be too hard. So where are we starting at over here? Well, this is a little bit less than halfway. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at this first. So this looks like it's right above that line, just a little bit. So there's that right there is that. Now where's the top of it? Well, let's see here. We can go, looks like it's about right there. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see where this point is. Looks like it's about halfway between there. A little bit less. So it's going to come up like this and then over. So you could do this basically and just erase that. And the other part, this comes up like this. Like that, and over. See that? Just like that. Now what about this? where are we at here? Well, if we look here and then we go over, so we know where that's at on our drawing. See if I can split that there. So we know that this is going to come across, but where exactly? This is what I'm, right here. That's where we're going to try to figure out where that is. Well, we know it's this square right here. So we know it's a little bit higher than this, right? So it's somewhere up here, somewhere around this height, right? But where exactly is it at? Well, you could do one of two things. If you really wanted to know, you could take this and measure down. So that's 1. It looks like it's actually okay. Oh, let's go a little bit high. It's harder to see right here. So we got a 1/2 inch plus another, yeah, so it's probably about 5/8. If you're looking at it like that. So we're gonna go down here. Yeah, that's about where I said, right about there. But that's about over here. So we're about right there. And then it curves. See that? So you could actually go like this, come across like this. That's what you could do. Now you know where that's at. And then where's the other one? Where's the other one? Right here. Oh, we can just go over like that. Now we can just follow this, like this. See that? And then you could just go like that if you want. See that? Now we know where that's at. Now, we almost have this blocked off now with this and this, that we can start laying in this. But what I want to do is I'm going to fine tune this so we have enough white there. This part right here. We want enough there. But we also want to worry about, because I'm going to come around, we have this shoestring going out like this. So I just want to close that off. We'll worry about that later. But now we can come in here, we can color all this in black. Okay, so what do we want to do first? Well, definitely going to use this. This is a ultra fine. We're going to do that first. So we're going to come in here. That way we're not, because it's too small for the normal Sharpie. You see that what we're doing here? I'll leave just a little bit extra there. I'm going to come down here like this. Come across to there. Come across like this. You see that? Now what I'm going to do, I color this in, since this is a little bit more detail here. I'm going to color this in around the edge so that we don't have any issues here with the bigger Sharpie when we come in with that. Then we'll just take the big one and we'll color it in. We're getting there. I can't wait to get into the shoestrings and the white stripe there. That's going to be fun. I'm making this a little thick. I do not want to go past that line that I just made, this outline. So we're going to be real careful to not go past that. There we go. See that? Now let's color that in with the Sharpie now. So I'm going to come in here, be real careful. slowly work my way over to getting straight like this. See this? Just nice straight lines. Now if you want, if you're worried about it, make this a little thicker if you're going to try what I just tried. Right? You can also color this in. See this? You can also come in here like this. You could do this the whole time if you want. It's up to you. So I'm trying to bust this side out here again so we can work this way. I like doing these videos in real time. I tell you that. Shows you exactly what we're doing here. That way you can do it. Follow along, pause. Just do what you gotta do, right? Now remember, do you remember what we're going to do after we do the Sharpie? I'll let you think about it a second. What do you think's gonna be next? What did we do here? That's right. We took our black colored pencil. So that's what we're gonna do. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here, just go across like this first. I'm gonna outline this. So I don't wanna go past that. Create a nice little safe area. Now I have a nice sharp point here, so I can get in here. See that? Little circles. See that? Really making that nice and dark. Rich color. Nice solid black there. See that? Makes for a more vibrant. Now, I know this printout, that didn't print too well, but we don't need that. We just need that for a reference. That's all. We don't need that photograph, that printout to be perfect. A lot of people out there can draw things right out of their head, and that's great. That's fantastic. You know, they probably started looking at something first though, right? You know, what's really nice you can draw out of your head is you get to the point where you can draw things that, like trees, tree trunks and trees and rocks and things like that, where you really can't mess those things up. And I'm just going around, see the edges here, just gonna color this in, not pressing too hard. You don't want to press too hard. You're just laying in some colored pencil. That's all we're doing. We're starting to get into the flat point. That means that my pencil point is looking like that, and this entire part of my pencil point is hitting the paper, and that's fine. It's fine for now. See that? Just coloring it in. Now you can go over that as much as you want. Again, you don't want to go over it too much. There. Now we have that. Now, you can decide now to put these in, or you can wait. It's totally up to you. If you're nervous about it, don't do it yet. Maybe you want to do the rest, right? But it's totally up to you. I'm going to go ahead and put them in. Now, this is where you have to be careful because you get one shot at this. So again, I'm going to test this out. Just going to get the thing, get it started here. Yep, we're fine. So now what's the first thing? Well, I'm going to come across I'm going to do this. Now you notice the curve. The curve is like this. So I'm going to keep that in mind. I'm going to actually do it like this. I'm going to go across. Right there. And I'm going to come across. See that? Now I didn't curve it a whole lot, which I should have, or we'll be all right. Now this is coming right from here over to there. So I'm gonna there we go. That's okay. Now we got one more here. This is kind of going across. It's kind of curving. So we're just going to go in like this. See that? That doesn't look bad at all. I'm okay with that. Now, we have to think about this part right here. So I'm going to come across like this. Straight down. See that? And then it comes across like this. See that? Anybody say, well, what are you going to do about that? Watch how easy that is. Just cover it up. We'll redo it when it dries. See that? Now this is starting to look like a shoe, right? Now what do we do next? Well, we have a couple choices. I think the first thing I'm going to do is just color in this section. Seems like it'd be the easiest. And then we're going to come up here and we're going to hit this, but we have to outline these shoestrings first. Okay, so let's go ahead and take this. We know this is straight across. Be real careful. Do that. Do that. Go to the edges. Color those in first because this is a lot thinner than that Sharpie, right? Now, let's take a look here. This is a brand new Sharpie, so it has a nice point. See that? Boy, I can't wait to lay in these shoestrings. All right, now, I don't want to quite get into this, but boy, I might. That's really tempting. I think I'm, Now I think I'm going to do it all at once, because then we can just take the same, we got a little bit of a gray, we got a little bit of a, this color to lay in, because it's really dirty. We're going to show the dirt. And then we got a brown colored pencil as well, right here. So we're going to hit that. But that's, tell you what, let's get into the hard part here. Let's start laying in this. So we know that this dotted line is going to come down like this. Right? We know that. See that? It's going to come across. This is going to cut off like that. And that dotted line is going to pretty much go into there. So now, how do we lay in these shoestrings? Well, let's start with this top one. What does that look like? Well, we have to start laying in this one. Now what you could do is, you see this? I'm going to make a white line. This will make it a lot easier for you. watch this. If you go like this, if we did that on here, it'd be a lot easier, wouldn't it? Now, let's do that, and then we'll see if we need to adjust this top line. Okay, that's not set in stone. So we have this one right here, right? We know that that's there. That's that right there. So let's go ahead and just make this line. It seems like it goes along there the whole way, and it kind of tapers down. So this will be our guideline. So let's just go ahead and go down through like this. And that'll be our guideline. And then what we'll do, we'll just get rid of this top line, put that in afterwards. So now we know that when we draw these, we know that the bottom part is going to be along that line. And then we'll come back in and we'll do this in between. It's not a big deal. Okay, so what do we do here? Well, we're going to be drawing this one. So it kind of looks like a heart, doesn't it? Kind of picture it like that. And it starts about right here. And it goes up like that, right? And it kind of has, see, that's kind of twisted, right? See that? So we can lay that in there. And then what about the next one? Well, it's down, if you look at this line, it's right in the middle of that, isn't it? See that? It's right there. So now, if we know that this is our guideline, we can kind of make it like that, right? That's what it looks like, right there. And what about this one? Well, it's we could lay in this one first, really. We could put this one in. We could lay this across like this. See that, how that is? And then you can come in here and put this one right beside it. This one kind of looks like a V as well. See that? Just like that. See, this isn't so bad if you know what you're doing, right? What about this next one? Well, it kind of lines up with this, right? See that? So you could come up like that, and you'll know exactly where that goes. This looks like it's vertical, right? So if it lines up, and it lines up with that, right there, it's kind of almost drawing itself, right? See that? And then you have this one here. Just kind of curves down. So we're going to draw, this one's kind of touching that. Kind of smooths out like that. You see that? So there we have some shoestrings. Now what do we do in between? Well, this whole curve, now you can come in here and you can just take that, and it looks like it basically is this one, and then it curves up. So what we can do, you can put your finger there if you want. See that? You can do that. And you can come in here and just erase where it goes through the shoestrings. See that? Look at that. See, that's not so bad, right? If you know what you're doing, you know, all this, anything, doesn't matter. Like I said, there's so many people that are better than me. But it doesn't matter whether it's something that's mediocre or excellent. It was all done in stages. It was all done in layers. And that's what we're trying to do here. How do we do this to where it's done in layers? Well, that's what we're doing. So let's erase this just to show you. We don't have to. We can put Sharpie right over top of it. We're going to erase this just to show you. So now, remember, this is where that dotted line is going to go, but we have to get this whole section colored in before we do anything. So how do we do that? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut it off probably maybe down like that. I'm just gonna cut it off. We'll color all that in another time because we have to bring this across and everything else. So let's color this in. We'll outline these shoestring tops, or the cross pieces here that go across, and then we'll come in here and do these right here. Okay, so now let's take our, this is where you have to be careful. Let's come across like that. Just let enough space there. Come across. Come down like that. See that? Let's come across here. One nice smooth motion. See that? Let's come across. Like I said, we're going to cut that off like that. See that? Now we're going to come across like this. We're just going to come in here, start outlining this. See that? Now we're going to color it in. So I'm going to start down here. All right. So we'll go around the edges here. Again, we're using the ultra fine Sharpie so that we don't go outside the lines. Boy, I'm excited to see the end result. Boy, oh boy. I'm going to show you how to put a little bit of highlights on this black to just top it off with a dark gray colored pencil. We're going to do that at the end. That's the icing on the cake. It's the first time I'm drawing a pair of Vans. I tell you, it's fun. It's a challenge. I tell you, if you know what you're doing, it makes it a lot easier. I hope you guys learned something so far. A lot of things I picked up over the years. You know, nobody's born knowing how to draw, in my opinion. It takes time and practice and everything else. It's just like anything else. You know, if you want to be a great baseball player or football player, tennis, whatever it is, it's going to take time. You got to practice. Push yourself to the limits, and just like this, you know, it takes a lot of practice. You could practice the wrong way too, right? So do you remember what we're doing next? What are we going to do here? I'll speed it up on here so we don't have this turn into a 2-hour tutorial, but I tell you what, it's going to be a little bit longer than what I thought. Again, it's the first time I'm drawing this. I tell you, if you want to do it right, you got to take your time. But yes, we're taking the colored pencil over top. Make this nice and dark. See that? Little circles. And these shoes were actually mine, and my son wanted them, so I just gave it to him. Same size. together. Boy, that's nice. I like that. Look at that. Boy, that's really starting to look like something. Now we got to worry about the stitching here, right? So how are we going to do this? Now here's the other thing. See the stitching coming across here? Now you'll have the photo up on the video, it's more clear, but you see this shadow coming across? It's also covering up that. So we're going to do that. We're going to do that shadow at the end. But boy, that's the stuff that I like to make this thing look more real, make it pop. We're going to go ahead and we're going to put this line first, and then we're going to bring this over. Okay, so let's draw this line first. So here we're going to test. Yep, it's working. So what we can do, we can come in here, just take this, down. I'm going to go across the top, so let's see what we can do here. There we go. I like that. Now what we can do is this little, I don't like that right there. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to redo that. See if that's dry. Almost. I want this to go over a little bit. There we go. I like that better. And it's the same thing here. Remember how I said earlier, this wasn't curved enough for me? I could go back and redo that, but I think I want to let that like that. We'll see at the end. So now, remember this little line coming across here, right? So it kind of goes like that, just a hair. So we're gonna see that. We'll come in and cover that, make that shadow at the end. So what's next now? Well, I'm not quite ready to do these shoestrings. We're going to do those all at once. So I think the next thing is, let's go ahead and get this separated from the sole to the shoe here. You see that? So let's go ahead and get this line in here. So it kind of looks like it's just curves right up. So let's see what we can do here. So where does that, it's right here, right? So it kind of, if you look here, it's a little bit below the line. So it kind of goes like that, right? Goes across. See that? Just go right across. Right across like that. I like that. So now we can actually color that entirely in. So now, what I'm going to do, so we're going to do it with this first. One line. See that? Line. See that? Boy, oh boy. And we can come in here like this. There's only so much limitation to this. So we'll probably have to stop halfway through. See that? Boy, oh boy, I'm excited. Now, if you look here, this is a little more humped up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come down. Let's see here. This comes down a little bit more. It kind of goes up a little bit. So let's do just a little bit. Along the edge. Boy, this is fun. Boy, I tell you what, it's fun doing it. But boy, at the end, when it's completely done, that's exciting. I almost want to touch this. It almost looks real, and we didn't even do hardly anything to it. So now you can just come across. You see that? Just like that. Stop just shy of where you think you should stop. That way you'll never go past. Learned that the hard way. See that? Just make that a little bit wider. And we'll start putting some straight lines in. See that? Just like a printer. That's how I think about it in my mind. Back and forth. See that? Less chance of seeing erratic strokes. See that? Now this paper is for marker, but I do notice, I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I do notice slight bleeding once in a while. But I think we can manage that. A couple different tricks for that. I'm not too worried about it right now. Now you see that? Boy, that's really starting to look cool. Boy, I love it. That looks really neat. Now, do you remember what we're going to do now? What do we have to do here and here? That's right. Let's go ahead and do that. I'll start off, I'll do this one, and then for this part, I'll speed it up for you. That way we save a little time. I think you know how to do this by now, right? All right. Little circles. All right. Look at that. Well, that's really starting to look like something. This is exciting. Now, we have a couple things we can do here. We could go to the sole, which I don't think I'm going to do. I'm going to start working on this. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on this shoestring right here, down to here. So one of the things that I like to do is, let's come in here with a normal pencil, because we don't want a black line on this edge. We want to keep it looking nice, but we want to get something there. So I find that a pencil, normal old pencil, kind of works. It's not so, you know, it's not so solid that it almost looks like it's a shadow, right? So we don't want it to be too dark to look like a cartoon, since we're trying to go for realism here. You see, that's what we're trying to do there. So we're just going to kind of clean this up a little bit, like this first, with a pencil. And then we'll go from there. You see that? We can get a nice see that it cleans up the bleed, right? We'll finish that up. So what I'll do is, now let's erase this. Okay. What we'll do is we can either start going over here. I think what I'm going to do is work on this shoestring the whole way down to here. I tell you what I'm going to do. So we're going to just take it down at least past the sole. That's what we're going to do. We'll worry about that after we're done. How about that? So there's a couple things we can do. You almost got to look at what color is this. Now I'm going to go to the computer here and pull that picture up, because I want to see the true color of that. So let's take a look here at the true picture. I want that you can see on the screen. I'm going to take a look at it here on my computer. So kind of looks like it's gray, right? A little bit of gray in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with the gray first first I'm going to erase this excess pencil here. But I have looks like an older Prismacolor, but it's a warm gray, very light, 964. So I'm going to take my sharp end and I'm just going to start bringing, see that? We're just bringing a little bit down. Now, it looks like the same color as pencil. See that? So what I might do, so that I can blend it even better, I might just use a pencil. Since I know that that's gray, that's what I'm going to do. I tell you the first thing I'm going to do here. Let's see here. I'm going to take, I'm going to erase this. What we're going to do is we're going to put a real thin line there. And then you can see how there's a ridge right there. See that? It's a highlight going the whole way down. So that's what we're going to do. And then it goes like this. Like this. See that? See how it looks like that? So that's what we're going to do. And there's another little ridge right here. But it's dark in between, right? So we're going to take, so we can continue to come up like this, but it only goes so far. And then we can darken this down here. See that? If you want to really get into it, you take a really sharp pencil, just do a little, barely touch it. See that? Come up here like that. See that? Then you can go back to your doll one. And it looks like some darkness here. Looks like a ridge going across like that. And we can start pulling this down like this. We don't want to go too far. You can start laying this in to make this look more realistic. See that? You can even put a little bit right there. Give the illusion of that that crevice kind of bends, you know, it kind of bends like that. So I would probably let that go. We can now come in here. I think I'm going to put a little ridge going across like this. Real light. See that? Do that down here. See that? Just to give it some, I call it 3D-ness, right? See that? I like that. So now what can we do? Well, I think now we need to start. Well, I tell you what we could do. Why don't we put in these stitch marks here? They look like a little bit of a darker gray, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my pencil. I think that's going to give us the look that we want. And those stitches are kind of curved a little bit. So I think we're going to try to, they're kind of like, they're not quite like that. They're more like that. So we're going to do like a combination of, and they come down right about to there. Now what's nice about using the pencil is that you get that, it's not such a harsh look, and it gives us what we want. So if we did black, it'd be too black, it'd be too dark. We're going to get this as close to real as possible. I don't know how close we can get. We're gonna try. See that? While we're here, we may as well do this, right? Just come across right above that. See that? Come across here. Look at that. That's not bad. I like that. Now, what we can do, so remember I said about this shadow here? How are we going to do that? Well, let's take a look. I'm going to do it with this pencil. I'm going to first color this in a little bit here. These little ones here. But I'm going to go across real light. See that? Just like that. I'm going to go a little bit more. Just going to layer it on there. A little bit more. I'm just using a number 2 pencil, not using any numbered pencils like the B's, like 9B and all that. We don't need that. Not for this project. See that? I'm going to leave it like that for now. I like that so far. All right, now, why don't we start working on these other shoestrings here? I think with this I went a little bit overboard here. So we're just going to bring this around like that. We're going to bring that in like that. See that? see how this is, think of it like this. And all this is this is a shadow that we're going to blend this way. So that's what we're going to do here. So here, this is how we do it. I'm going to do that. It's a very dull pencil point. We're just going to see that. Look at that. I'm going to do it one more time. See that? That's all we're doing. We're not going overboard. We don't need to outline that in anything. This one right here, we're going to come in here and do the same thing. We're going to pull it down this way, like that. We're going to darken up that a little bit because there's a distinct shadow there. You see that? See that? Then, if you look, we're going to take our sharp pencil. Look at this right here. There's like a little ridge. So what we can do, we can come in here like that. See that? So there's little details. And then if you look here, it's kind of like this. I did a short like that, I think. No. See that? It's kind of like that. So that's what we can do right here. We can just bring this up like that. See that? That's how you do that. Now, we can just go right down the line here. What about this one? Well, same thing. Kind of has a little bit of a, see that? Goes back. We can bring that down like that. See that? We can bring it up a little bit. See that? And we can do the same thing down here. This is the same thing. Kind of comes down. Bring it down like this. We're just barely touching that. See that? See? Now let's do this one right here. Same thing. Can barely outline it. See that? Can make a little highlight here. We can start bringing this down. Just like that. See that? We got two more. Let's outline that. Give it a little shadow there. Top. See that? Now why is that dark? Well, because when I took this photo, the light was coming this way. And this was a wall back here. So you can see my light source reflecting off. It was coming that way. Okay, so let's do this one. This one kind of wraps around. Kind of like that. So we can just bring that barely down like that. You see that? Just like that. Do another pass here. See that? Now, I'm pretty happy with that. Now, let's start working on this down here and then we'll go back and look at that. In fact, we forgot to do up here. I'm going to put a piece of paper here. Cover this up. Let's make this a little bit. I want to make this a little bit more pronounced. See that? Now what about here? Look at that. See what we can do there? Almost forgot that. Now, looks like we can come in here with the black. And we can separate. Remember I said before we wanted to be real careful. You can't put it back, right? So there. Now we can take this. You see the darkness? We're going to just pull that up. First we're going to get rid of that. So we're going to pull this up like this. See that? And we're going to see how dark we want to make this. It can be kind of dark there. And then we have this part. We can probably make that a little bit darker. Just a little bit. Just to make it pop a little bit. There. I think we're going to let it like that for now. All right. So now let's get into this next part, the sole. So what are we going to do here? Well, first thing is let's make sure that we have this stuff laid out the way we do. It looks like we're good to go. And what we need to do is we need to start thinking about this black line. So what we have to do is we have to draw the top part of it. So it looks like it follows along pretty well. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take my dull pencil and we're going to lay this line in. We'll lay that in and it goes the whole way over to there. So we're just going to follow along here the best we can. Doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see on here, there's some irregularities. So you're fine. So now, how thick do we want it? Well, it's not too thick. It's not too thin either. Kind of looks like where that inserts. It's going to be like that. And that'll come over like that. I see. I see where we're going to run into show you what I'm talking about. There. There we go. That kind of cleans that up. There's a little bit of an irregularity there. So let's go ahead and take this over. Just like that, wraps around. So now we got to color that in. So we're going to take our little Sharpie here. And if you notice here, you see a little bit of that in the back here. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take that. Go around like that. And try to follow our line the best we can. Okay. If you have to do it in smaller sections, go for it. Kind of curves around then. Right, so now we're going to start coloring this in. I'm going to try my Sharpie, my big Sharpie here. Going to go across. See what we can do here. I'll fine tune that with the little one. Same with that. See that? So we'll go ahead and fine tune that. We'll be careful there. There. That doesn't look bad. Now, where are we at now? Well, we can come around and really clean up the bottom here. Start getting that in order. So what we can do, and take our sharp pencil. I tell you what we can do is, let's do this. Let's start erasing this now. We don't need these. Take my brush. Remember I said I should get a brush? Here we go. Pull out my paintbrush. It's a big one, isn't it? Tell you what we can do. Why don't we take our, see this tan here? Now I'm not going to go quite that bad. In fact, I might not use this tan. I'm going to use the gray. In fact, I might actually use pencil. Why don't we just use pencil? Just do it like this, and then we'll throw a little bit of dirt on there. Why don't we use pencil? I think that'll be a lot better. I think so. I'm gonna erase some of these. Let's just start getting some lines in here. Now, we got to look at this ridge here. This is lighter in here. So we have to kind of separate that. So we're going to make another line the whole way across, following this one, the whole way up. See that? Just like that. Now what we can do, we can kind of fine tune this now. Let's start laying in some, at least something, right? dull pencil point. Real dull. So I'm just going to thicken this up a little bit through here. Now I probably will put a little gray in this, but right now I'm going to see how this pencil looks. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I did this 10 times before I put up a perfect YouTube video. I'm just being real with you and see what we can do as we go, right? This looks pretty good so far. We got to get this looking great, right? How are we going to do that? Well, we're going to do it. We're going to learn together, right? First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put this red tag in there. I'm going to outline it first. So it kind of comes down. So that's that. It comes down this way, right? Kind of looks like we can go out a little further, doesn't it? We're going to do a shadow anyway, right? At the bottom. Now we're going to come across. We're going to start, as you can see on the photo, there's a shadow. So we're going to start laying this in. There, getting there. Let's take a look. Yep, getting there. Kind of looks like this goes out a little more. That's what we can do. It's not too late to bring this out. See that? It's not too late to bring this out. I'm just layering in some shadowing there. See that? Now, let's just get this red in and we'll go from there. Now, let me look at the real photo. It's kind of like an off red. So let me grab the red. I have this set here, but I have a whole bunch of these as well. And I think I'm going to use, this red. There you go. I'm going to test it out first. Yeah, that's perfect. I like that. Yeah, I like that. It's just what I wanted there. All right, now, what can we do now? Well, I think what I want to do is start cleaning this up back here. Let's try to get a nice transition. Kind of looks like it's like that. So let's see if we can shade this. Let's see what we can do here. Now you saw me use my finger earlier to go across. You can do that. Or I'm going to get a blending stump out of the drawer here in a second, show you. We could use that, but I'm not going to use a blending stump. I like using the finger there. What I'm going to do also is I'm going to come in and just do a little teeny line right there below that, just for some extra detail. See that? And we're gonna do this up here too. We're gonna go on the bottom. We're just gonna go one, do one ridge. See that? There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. So bring a little bit of shadowing in like that. We can kind of do a little bit there. Whatever you feel like doing. However you want to do it. You can try different ways. See what works. Now I am going to come in here with my, let's see here. I think I'm going to use my my 9B once. I think I am. And I'll show you why. I'm going to use the pointy part. Just going to come down here like this, right on the bottom. Why am I using my 9B? Because that's going to give me a little bit darker of a line. Then we're going to go from there with the shadow. Okay. So now, let's take our normal dull pencil here. Let's talk about this shadow here. That is if we're okay with the rest. I think what I'm going to do is there's a little bit of a shadow underneath that. Just going to make that a little bit more crossed here. Just a little bit. And we'll probably throw in a little dirt. We'll probably do that. Maybe some of these lines might do that. But you see that? There's a little bit of a ridge right here. So what we can do is we can do it like this. See that? See that? Now, we've got a couple stitches we got to do yet. Let's do those before we forget. So we got these coming down through here. We're just gonna there we go. Are we missing any? Yes. Up here we got some. All right, so we're on the home stretch here. So let's see what we can do here. Let's start cleaning up, get rid of some of this. We don't need these lines anymore. So I'll fast forward through this. All right. Well, it's good enough erasing for now. Now let's come in here and let's work on the shoestring here. So we'll just start fine-tuning this thing. Across. See that? All right, so let's put a little shadow on the underside here. We're just going to make this a little darker since it's down at the bottom. Bring this like that. So it looks like there's just a little bit of shadowing on the bottom, that's it. So we'll start on the side here. What we'll do is we'll wrap it around here like this with this dull pencil. See that? That's what we can do. Sometimes they can be too dull. I think this is getting there. See that? Well, let's leave that like that for now. What we're going to do is we're going to work on this shadow here. I'm going to come in here with my 9B pencil again. If you don't have that, you can just use your normal pencil. Let's come in here. Just make this a little bit darker down here. Let's see what we can do. Again, remember, it's the first time I'm drawing this shoe. See that? It's going to come across. hump, that cut in my mat there. What we're doing here is we're trying to show that this is sitting on something, right? There's a couple ways we can go about this. We can leave it like that. I'm also tempted to lay in some other shadowing. So we can look at that, but what I want to do is I want to try to get this shoestring here to look a little more lifelike. So I'm going to come in here. Just going to press a little bit harder. This bottom here. See that? Let's try that. I'm also going to put in this shadow right here. This one. So let's go ahead and do that one. So what we can do is we can just draw it as it is. Right there. Right there it is. There's your shadow. We're close. We're close. I'm not sure if I want to put any brown in there or not. I might make this thing look a little dirty. Now down here at this shadow, you can play around with this a little bit. We can come in here. Let's clean this up first. Put something in there like that. So you can do one of two things. We can do this, shadow for this, see that? We can do that. We can make that darker. See that? Doesn't look bad, right? We can come in here and we can do a shadow in here underneath this shoe too, which I'm not sure if I want to do. I might just leave it like that. I like it like that. I might leave it like that. Why don't you guys try to put a shadow in there and see what you think? That's what I would do. Let's see if we can put a little brown in here. Let's see what it looks like. I'm going to start with a little bit of this first. See if it's kind of not showing up. It's kind of putting a little bit of, oh, that's actually not too bad. We can put a little bit of this in here. Give it a little bit of a, see that? A little bit of a yellow look. It's not bad at all. In here with the brown. Let's see what we can do with that. Hopefully I don't ruin it. Yep, looks not bad at all. See that? You can come in here and show that these things are a little dirty, right? See that? Yeah. I like that. Let's try a little bit here. See, it gives it a little bit of that brown look. I like that. Put a little bit of that in here. Yeah, like that. I think we're gonna let it go. I like it. What we could do, tell you what, since this shadow's like that, why don't we make this bottom one, why don't we make that dark? Maybe we'll just do that. Maybe that's what we're missing here. There we go. I think that'll do it. You know what? I'm gonna make this. Make this a little bigger. What's it hurt to try? Right? Doesn't work, it doesn't work. I'll actually bring it out like this. That might be better. It doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? Kind of like that. Don't know if you don't try, right? Let's see what this looks like. Now, if you don't have a 9B pencil, it's not a big deal. Just use your that's not bad. Not bad at all. If you don't have a 9B pencil, just use your normal number 2 pencil. Get in there and get it dark. I think we're good. I don't want to overdo it. I like it. Now what you could do, you could come in here and put any background you want back here. You know, you could come in and do all kinds of stuff. So it's whatever you want to do, you can do. You could come in here and lay in some pencil like this, real light, and then rub it. You can do whatever background you want. Okay, but there you go. Now you could also do the shadow like that too. But I wanted to make a real distinct shadow and see how it turned out. But it's not bad. Hopefully this helped you. And you know, when you're done, you always want to go back and look and just see if there's anything else that you could have done, you know, to improve it. I see here that I could this around like this. See that? There's all kinds of things you can clean this up for a long time. You can come in here and make this more smooth of a transition. All kinds of things. I'm gonna let you guys do. You go ahead and hopefully you learn something from this, and hopefully you can make something very similar. So have a great day.